Time to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go.
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition. Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to another Aftershow of Tales of the Empire, the second one, technically the fourth in a series of Star Wars Tales, which the first season was Tales of the Jedi. We had 2 story arcs there, and now Tales of the Empire. Last week we went over Morgan Elsbeth and the origin story provided through those episodes. This week it's all about Barriss Offee, and we've got Kirk and Blake joining us in the escape pod to chat all about that. So if you haven't seen those 3 episodes of Tales of the Empire, spoiler warning, we're about to get into that in depth, so stay tuned.
Another happy landing.
Well, hello, welcome back, Blake.
Hello there. Chut.
Chut. Forgot to unmute you there for a second.
Oh.
Yeah, you're
Am
back.
I unmuted? Chut.
You're on, yeah.
Ah, we're live.
And hello, Kirk, from the other side of the galaxy.
Yo.
Hello.
That's right.
Yeah.
Down under here. Things are good. Things are good.
How's life in upside down world?
You know what? I just saw Fall Guy in theaters, so it's good to see Australia being represented on the main screen, despite it being for like 5 minutes in the movie. But apart from that, life was good.
Nice. Awesome. Tales of the Empire. It's been it came out. These episodes came out May 4th, 2024. We've got 3 to finally talk about, which is sort of the resolve to Barriss Offee's story, which
At long last.
We've been waiting for this story for a long time.
What, 10 years? It's been a long time.
Over 10 years.
That's crazy.
Since season 5, episode 20.
What year is that? We gotta look it up.
Okay, Clone Wars season 5, episode 20. I think this was called The Wrong Jedi.
That's been 2013 or something, or 2014 maybe.
This was okay. So this came
earlier
out
than that.
March. If this is right, this came out March 1st, 2013. So
wow.
Dang.
Pretty nuts.
So yeah, just over 10 years.
Just
there.
over 10 years. Yeah, 11 years, I guess. Just over 11 years. Crazy. So,
Barriss
about
Offee hasn't
time.
aged a day. Well, actually, she kind of did age, but
yeah. But what's cool about this is, of course, Meredith Salinger has reprised her role as Barriss Offee from the animated series, and because we haven't seen her in over 10 years, this was kind of big news to her too as an actor, because she gets to come back and play this character that she probably thought like, oh, she's never gonna play that again.
Probably
And
watched the entire series of Rebels thinking they'll give me a call.
yeah.
And it never happened.
Never happened. Yeah, exactly. So we got 3 episodes here: Devoted, Realization, and The Way Out. I guess we'll just dive right in. We'll start with the first one and go through, and then we'll listen to some more videos from Newfoundland at the what was it called? Expo on the Rocks or
That's
something?
right. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Fan Expo on the Rocks, or I don't know. Can't quite
I think it's
remember
just
the name.
Expo on the Rock.
Expo on the Rocks, or Geek on the Rock, or something. I don't know, something like that. All right, Devoted by Saul Rua's, story by Dave Filoni, written by Nicholas Anastasiou, May 4th, 2024. Following Order 66 and the Galactic Republic's reorganization into the Empire, former Jedi Barriss Offee, who is serving a life sentence after turning on the Jedi Order and attacking the Jedi Temple, is brought to the under-construction fortress Inquisitorius to be trained by the Grand Inquisitor. After she kills a fellow recruit in a duel, Barriss is welcomed as an Inquisitor and introduced to her new master, the Sith Lord Darth Vader. The cast included Zena Robinson as Amar, Meredith Salinger as Barriss Offee, D. Bradley Baker as a clone trooper, Nicholas Cantu as Dante, Rai Kilstead as Lynn Rakish / the Fourth Sister, and Jason Isaacs coming back as the Grand Inquisitor. So that was that first episode there. And what a great re-entry to the series. I mean, like this first episode, it seemed like it picked up very soon after the Purge, you know?
It was during on the temple, right? The attack on the temple.
It seemed like that. And it kind of blew me away because I think her name is, it's Lynn, right? Lynn, the fourth sister. She was already in her like uniform and everything. So I think it was maybe like days after, like the aftermath was still kind of there. It was a very recent thing, but at the same time,
I find that a bit odd. I feel like it'd have to be during because her window looks directly at the temple. So she didn't notice for several days.
Yeah, she'd noticed that it was on fire. I think there may have been, Kirk, was there some smoke or something? I forget.
Yeah, there was definitely some smoke. It would have been either the same day or a few days after, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so
Or
just like
maybe
lingering.
Originally, she's seen it, and then she asked the troopers, and then maybe there's a time gap between the troopers.
Well, and also she's in prison. She's in a cell, so like, you know, time just kind of for her is like every day is the same. They probably just didn't have the time of day to. There's so much going on, right?
Yeah.
So this is probably a few days after. That's just my guess. But yeah, in the meantime, the Inquisitors have kind of started up, and as we know from
it's a good point though, just that time gap, because I would have thought it would have been at least a year.
Right. No, yeah, it's pretty soon, and also in the Vader comic books, like we get introduced to the Grand Inquisitor almost immediately. Like right after Vader kind of becomes Vader, he goes off, he gets his lightsaber thing sorted out, and he comes back, and then it's like, okay, here's the second thing on the list. Here's the Grand Inquisitor. Here's what we have. Underlings. Yeah, here's your new squad of Jedi hunters, right? And the Inquisitorius is like a big part of that series, that comic book series, which I highly recommend to anybody. It's called Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. It's 4 volumes, not very long. It's like 32 issues of comic books. You know, it takes like maybe an hour to get through, like, or an hour and a half to get through all of them, or 2 hours.
Is that the series where Vader is in the middle of like this desert pit and all these rebels surround him and he's like, I'm only surrounded by dead men or something, like that iconic line? I can't remember if it's from that series.
No, that's probably one of the other Darth Vader series. There's a total of 3 now. So there's the Dark Lord of the Sith Darth Vader series, and then that's like right after episode 3. And then there's the Darth Vader series, which was the first one they made. That's like right after episode 4. And then there's the new Darth Vader series, which is right after episode 5. And that's like bridging the gap between episode 5 and 6. So that's the most recent one. And that's still ongoing, I think. So that makes it the longest one so far. But so this is like time frame wise, and this is pretty soon after, and makes sense that they did the story where they did it, because you know we haven't seen this time period for the Inquisitors on screen yet, right? So we haven't been this early, right? So it makes sense that she would be an Inquisitor in the time that we haven't seen Inquisitors floating around yet. There's no mention of her at the times that we have seen Inquisitors, right?
That's why we're missing several Inquisitors.
That's why we're missing a few, here and there, right? And then also like
oh, that's why. Yeah, I was wondering where the other Inquisitors were. I thought the others would have like stepped forward at some point, like but that makes a lot more sense now, I guess.
Because there's a lot missing. All the ones from Rebels weren't there.
Right. All the ones from Rebels weren't there.
I was expecting to see some of them there. Yeah.
Yeah. So they either joined later, or maybe they were I think it was a wise decision, especially in that one scene where at the very end when they bow to Vader, you only see like 3 or 4 of them. Like I think it was a good decision not to try and bring in the amount that they've come up with so far and have them all there for that moment, because you know, it gives the idea that, oh, they're off busy doing Jedi hunting things, or they're still doing whatever, right? And it's like we have a moment similar in the Vader comic books where you do see a few of them, but it's like, okay, well, now that we have Inquisitors like Merrick and this chick and Barriss and stuff, like where are they in that comic book? Because that comic was done before a lot of these other characters were made. Right. So it sort of helps smooth over the idea that these characters never all existed in the same place at the same time at any point in the saga. So I like that.
I do find it kind of funny that the newest one, Merrick, is now one of the OG.
Yeah, he's like
he's the last one to die.
It's actually kind of sick because like when you look at his armor, he's like it's like rusting and it's like old, right? Like you get the idea that it's like this dude has been around for like way too long,
right? And
I like the idea that he's like kind of the last Inquisitor for some reason, still floating around out there. Like I don't know what he's been up to, but it's kind of cool to know that he kind of exists. But I'd like to know more about his character, to be honest. I saw him pop up in this episode. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I want a Tales of the Empire Merrick story.
So you must have been a Jedi then, because I'm guessing all of the ones that we saw in this episode were Jedi that turned. They weren't Inquisitors that were raised later,
right?
Or trained later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this, Kirk? Like, Merrick, Barriss, Fortress Inquisitorius.
I do agree. I feel like I'd like to see more about him or it, whatever you want to call it. But I think, I think we're going to have to wait for Tales of the Empire season 2 or something like that.
Tales of
I can't see any other shows in the
Tales of the Inquisitorius.
maybe Tales of the Inquisitorius. I can't see any shows coming up in the near future that's going to fill that gap. Off on the top of my head.
It's been interesting to see Fortress Inquisitorius change and also expand, in terms of visual aesthetic and scale as the stories have progressed, because we were first introduced to this location in I think it was either in Fallen Order or in the Darth Vader Dark Lord of the Sith comic books, but both of those sort of came out around the same time. So it may have been a collaborative effort. And then later we saw it in Obi-Wan Kenobi and in the live action scheme of things, and then now again in an animated show in the form of how we see it in this show, and then I think it's also maybe showing up in a book or so. But I think that makes this location like one of the very few that's hit every single form of media. It's hit the games, it's hit the comics, it's hit the animated shows, the live action, and the novels.
It's probably the only new planet to have done that.
Yeah, I think it is.
Like the post-George planet.
Yeah, post-George planet. Yeah. Disney Star Wars.
I feel as well this episode as well showing it is also kind of indicative that the Inquisitorius base was probably existed like before Order 66, because depending on how long Barriss's training was as an Inquisitor, correct me if I'm wrong, but it didn't seem that it was too long, and the whole structure was already there for them to go inside of it.
Unless there's another time gap, but that raises a good question, because Vader would have just been burned on Mustafar, the neighboring planet, very recently then.
Yeah. I think that sort of speaks volumes to a lot of places though, right? Like even in the Bad Batch, you look at Mount, at Tantus, or what's that place called? Is it Tantus?
Tantus.
Yeah, Tantus. Yeah,
that's the planet.
Yeah, and it's like that massive base. There's no way they did that overnight,
I know what you're talking about.
And then also
that had been there a long time.
Nur, right? The Death Star. Palpatine's been doing all this behind the Jedi's and the Republic's view for quite some time.
There's reason to believe that all the way back in Clone Wars, when they first took the Zillo Beast, it would have went to Tantus.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, well, that's true, I guess. But then people would know about it, more people than he probably wants to know.
Unless it was just science and clone guards.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, I think it's kind of it's one of those things that's just I guess if he can hide something as big as the Death Star, I think it's probably believable that on an ocean planet in the middle of friggin' nowhere, he's able to build an apartment,
Palp Tower.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. It's also Star Wars. I mean, they got tons of droids and resources. They can just pile it in, and it's like 3D printing a building overnight. You know what I mean? They can just
build stuff very quickly.
They do, yeah.
Except for the first Death Star for some reason.
Yeah, it's all Galen's fault. Delayed the process. So the highlight of this episode, I guess, is Barriss's struggle to really give herself to the Inquisitorius, over to the dark side, and she's being torn in two directions. Obviously, she had problems with the Order, but she just went about expressing her views just to the most extreme way possible, and I think she regrets it to a degree. But
it's a weird arc in regards to that.
Yeah,
I would say across the three, because I guess you could. She was on the level of Pont Krell, of how extreme she was acting out against the Jedi at a time where they saw themselves as peacekeepers, and they were raised believing they were peacekeepers.
Yeah.
So I found her redemption arc. It was a tough sell for me, I guess, because of that. It wasn't like she was twisted post Order 66.
Right.
She was already against the Jedi.
She was to a certain degree. I don't think it was quite Sith-like against the Jedi. I want to kill them all kind of thing. The bomb that she set off killed some engineer, I think. The one guy that was it one guy that died or something, or was it a few?
That one unlucky guy that came in on his day off.
That's right.
And he was he was the bomb because he was set up with nanobots or something.
He was 6 days from retirement.
One day. It was his retirement day.
60 years of a career engineer at the Jedi Temple, only to be nanobotted.
Yeah.
By a character we didn't hear from for 11 years.
Oh, man.
What a way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, but he was he was set up between his like wife or something and Barriss, like they were all in on it, right? And yeah, it was weird, right? Because like here's a Jedi Knight who is basically like become so disturbed with what she's been seeing that she's willing to go this far to make a statement. And like it's not a bomb in the Jedi Council chambers, which she probably could have done if she really wanted to, but it was very much targeted at like a certain area, which would be kind of out of the way. It's in a hangar, right? Like it's not like a huge thing, but it's also very like extreme, and people died, and it's like, okay, yeah, this was bad. But when she gives her little speech of why she did it, it's almost you almost feel a bit of sympathy towards her, because she explains just wholeheartedly she believes that the Jedi have lost their way, and as a viewer that is not entirely untrue, right? Like you can
comes to the same conclusion.
Yeah, and you can see where she's coming from as a character. She just kind of goes about it the wrong way. So I don't think she's out for blood or anything. So when she's approached to be an Inquisitor, I don't think she quite knows what she's really getting into, other than I need to survive because these people have now pit me against somebody that I used to be essentially family with, like another Jedi Padawan who's been sucked into this as well. And they are making us kill one another, and only one of us can make it out of here alive. So like she's put in a position where she's kind of forced to play her hand for survival.
Right.
And if Barriss is anything, she's a survivor, right?
I guess maybe it's been a while since I've seen the arc, because I kind of built up in my head that she had gone like completely rogue, like Punk Krell.
Yeah, no, it wasn't quite like Punk Krell. I think Punk Krell was definitely a lot worse. Like he made clones kill each other and orchestrated their armies against one another.
And was specifically trying to get the attention of the Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah, he was trying to get Dooku's attention. He wanted to be an agent of the Sith, right? So whereas like Barriss doesn't want to be an agent of the Sith. I don't think she ever wanted that, but she never wanted to be a part of a Jedi Order that fell to the level that they did. And so it's easier, I think, to accept when you start thinking about all these things. It's like, okay, yeah, I kind of get it. And she's in prison, and then someone says, an old friend of hers, mind you, says like, this is your chance to survive this. And like, it's very clear if she doesn't join them, she's going to be executed, right? So
yeah,
she
that's
does
what I definitely felt. She had no choice at that moment there.
Yeah.
When she first joined, I guess like I see where you're coming from in terms of like the arc was a little bit hard to buy. I guess like I could totally feel that like she shouldn't have like joined the Inquisitorius or the that band, I guess you could call it, given what her motivations were from the season 5 of the Clone Wars. But I think the main problem where I felt was that I think it was maybe towards the last episode of her arc that I found was just like super rushed. I feel like they didn't need to skip ahead all that time and then show again. Maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but like show how her her life path kind of finished up. Like I felt like that whole monk-esque that she took over in the last episode was the hardest part just for me to believe, just because I feel like it would have been good to see more of her character rather than just quickly show her death, because these episodes are only like 12-15 minutes long. They're not full episodes about the character.
Right.
No, I agree, and that's during that arc is where my thoughts kind of went in this direction, like that final episode.
So
I felt
go ahead, Kirk.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna reiterate that what Tanner said. I feel like it's just the last arc. I kind of felt I feel like this character is a bit of a Iden Versio generalist kind of bait and switch approach. They've kind of painted it, whereas I feel like it would have been a little bit more interesting if you saw her obviously be backed into a corner, take up the position as being an Inquisitor in the first episode, and then I don't know. I found it a little bit too cliche. I felt like it was I've seen this arc before when it would have been a little bit more interesting to explore what Barriss's like actual motivations were a little bit more in Tales of the Jedi, because I felt like I didn't get any of that in the last episode at least.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think you're right, and I think that's where I'm getting confused, because now that we've talked about it, I was mentioning earlier, I think I had built up in my head that she was more rogue than she maybe actually was.
Yeah, and to add on to that,
well.
I have it right here if you want to listen to her speech. So just as a quick reminder, she basically frames her friend Ahsoka for the bombing and kills somebody in the process. Let's take a listen.
Ahsoka Tano, by an overwhelming count of...
Chancellor!
I hope you have a reason for bursting into our proceedings, Master Skywalker.
I am here with evidence and a confession from the person responsible for all of the crimes Ahsoka has been accused of. Barriss Offee, member of the Jedi Order, and traitor.
Barriss? Is that true?
Tell them the truth.
I did it because I have come to realize what many people in the Republic have come to realize. That the Jedi are the ones responsible for this war. That we've so lost our way that we have become villains in this conflict. That we are the ones that should be put on trial. All of us! And my attack on the temple was an attack on what the Jedi have become. An army fighting for the dark side. Fallen from the light that we once held so dear. This Republic is failing! It's only a matter of time.
Take her away.
So, yeah, you can kind of see that what she says is very, very much geared towards her idea of doing good, right? And
how would you get to the conclusion that bombing the temple is the way to do it, though?
Well, she sees the Jedi as villains. Right, like she thinks that she's clearly now fighting on the wrong side of the war because of the Jedi and how they've fallen, right? So like when Anakin, in his perspective, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil,
right?
And he's taking all this in as well, and has a very twisted but similar opinion. But he's got the Dark Lord of the Sith kind of driving his stuff. But I mean, this is just a not a nobody, but like it's just like another Jedi, and she's obviously kind of seeing what's happening out there, and I think obviously it wasn't like the right thing to do, and I think that's sort of where her redemption story comes into play. But having dealt the hand she had, or the one that she was given, I guess, and then being put in this position of like sort of you either die now or you come with us kind of thing, and survive and join the Inquisitorius, and you can be free kind of thing. She's like, it doesn't sound so bad, right? And then
I'm really torn now after listening to that speech, because now I feel like that it would have been natural for her to want to join the Inquisitors and kill off the Jedi if that's what her intention was. But if she didn't have that intention when she bombed the Jedi temple and she wanted to get rid of the Jedi, then now I'm a little bit confused whether or not it was the right story decision for her to want to break away from the Inquisitors. Because at least when I first watched it, I felt she was breaking away from the Inquisitors because after like they raided the village, and then the Inquisitor was like going barbarian mode on all the villages that weren't Jedi. Because I think that was the first mission they were assigned to. Like that totally makes sense to me. But when they found the Jedi on top of the mountain or wherever it was, I don't know. Like I'm not sure if that's right for where I thought the character's going now. Re-listen to that speech. Like, what do you guys think?
I think not to go counter to what you're saying, Kirk, but I think to me it makes a little more sense, because originally I had thought that she was like really lost in the war and like quite anti-Jedi, which I guess in her speech she is, but she's anti-Jedi in that they've lost their way. So I'm still not entirely sold that her bombing this temple was all right.
Well, and here's the other.
But hold on, let me finish where I'm going with this. But it makes more sense to me then that she would join the Inquisitors, thinking that they were getting rid of the Jedi, which she saw as no longer peacekeepers but warmongers. But seeing that the Inquisitors are actually worse, then realize like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
True.
What I just want to add on to that is that the bombing didn't kill any Jedi, as far as I know. I think it
had she planned it to, though.
Oh, sorry, no, it did actually. The attack killed 6 Jedi Knights. Never mind, and a number of clone troopers and members of the Jedi Temple's maintenance crew. Okay, yeah, so it did kill some Jedi. But yeah, like it was definitely a statement of how she definitely feels like the Jedi are on the wrong side of the war, and that we're all the ones that should be on trial. She says, like including her, because she feels like she's betrayed the Republic And she feels that the Jedi as a collective have fallen from the light that they've once held so dear, is what she says. And
that's probably why she also isn't surprised at all when she hears that there was a coup against Palpatine by the Jedi.
Right, exactly. And that's just it, is like she hears that from her friend that the Jedi tried to assassinate, Palpatine. She doesn't even flinch. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to join these guys.
This guy was right.
Yeah. And it's not until the next episode. It's not until the next episode where we can talk about that now. But let's just give this Pablo points of Poodoos real quick. I think this was a solid like two Pablo points. It was awesome. I thought it was great.
Yep, I love this too. It's funny because there was very little action. It was all very story, but a story that we've been waiting 11 years to figure out what happened.
Yeah, it had me excited.
If this came out 11 years ago, I maybe wouldn't have been quite as excited about it, but because we had to wait all that time, I'm gonna give it 2.5.
Yeah,
Pablo points.
Yeah, I'll go with 2 Pablo points. I apologies, I jumped ahead with my my critique there, but yeah, 2 points for this episode specifically out of the 3.
And it had Vader in it. That's always cool.
That's true.
Oh yes. Wait, actually, all right. I'm gonna have to scale this back now. I'm gonna put it 1.5 Pablo points because I was like totally baited by the trailers. I'm like, oh great, we're gonna see Vader in Clone Wars again. This is awesome. And then they clickbaited us. And wouldn't Anakin seeing Barriss as like, I'm sure he would have like looked at the forms and been like, all right, we've got Barriss Offee as one of the Inquisitors today, and this is where we picked her up, right? Probably that didn't happen, but wouldn't he be like, that Jedi like framed Ahsoka, and then Ahsoka left, and then all this happened? I feel like he would have been a bit mad.
Yeah,
man, I would love to know what's going through Anakin's head at that point when he sees Barriss Offee there.
Oh man, yeah. I would love to know just what he's thinking, because of course Anakin like fought Barriss like when he was right before Ahsoka's trial, to try and arrest her.
He arrested her.
He's the one who arrested her.
He has to have remembered her. Like he has to have remembered her.
Yeah, he does for sure. But
it hasn't been very long.
No, it hasn't.
Not even a year, probably.
It's funny how he just doesn't react. Of course, he just kind of sits in his throne, and they all bow, and it's like, okay, yeah. But yeah, it would have been nice.
You know what? Actually, looking at this episode again, I remember watching it and going on to the next one, and I thought that I actually missed an episode, so I went back and looked because I thought that like it was going to continue like as Vader was sitting down. And I was like, oh, where's this next section? What's happening?
Just one more Vader.
I'll stick. I know we can't. Am I allowed to do 1.5 Pablo points? Is
yeah,
that
you
a
can.
thing?
Yeah,
If not, then
sure.
I'll leave it there.
1.5. Also, Blake, can you just quickly explain our rating system?
Oh yeah. We should probably just record this at some point. On Star Wars Escape Pod podcast, we have a rating system where we rate to a scale of 7. It starts at a -3. That's 3 Pablo Poodoos, and we work our way up 3, 2, 1 to 0, which is a Bendu, and into the positive range 1, 2, 3 Pablo points.
Yeah,
that was so eloquently said. I love it.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so here's the next one. It's called Realization. This was directed by Stuart Lee, story by Dave Filoni, written by Matt Michnovetz, also released May 4th. Barriss and the Fourth Sister, another Inquisitor, are sent to find a Jedi who is in hiding. They question some villagers and learn that the Jedi is on a nearby mountain. Barriss becomes disillusioned with the Empire when the Fourth Sister murders the villagers and then cuts down a Jedi after Barriss convinces them to surrender. Barriss uses the Force to push the Fourth Sister off the mountain and then aids the wounded Jedi. Cast includes Meredith Salinger as Barriss Offee, Keith Ferguson as the Governor, Raya Kilest as Lynn Rakish, or the Fourth Sister, Rye Chase as the Jedi, and Jordan Currit as the young girl. So yeah, to what you were saying, Kirk, in the last episode's sort of chat there, you said something about the Inquisitor cutting down all the villagers and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So it's interesting to see Barriss's reaction to this whole thing, because this is her first mission as an Inquisitor, and I think in her head she probably thought that it was a lot different than what it ended up being.
Oh
right?
Yeah, it's significantly worse than the Jedi.
Yeah, significantly worse than what she thought, and because I don't think she really quite understood that, like, how present the dark side was in all of her co-inquisitors. And yes, she passed the test because she was able to defeat the other guy who was going after. Again, it was self-defense. Yeah, and he was gonna kill her, right? So, she protected herself, the other guy died, and here she is, right, in the job that she sort of happened to sort of get into, right? And so I think she protects the kid from what's her name?
Lynn?
I don't know, I keep forgetting her name.
What's her sister number? Do we know?
Fourth sister.
Sister.
So she protects her from Lynn, fourth sister, and really is just in shock of, like, what is this person doing? Like, she's just killing everyone because she can, right?
I gotta say, if you're bringing in a new recruit and trying to bring them along the line to the dark side, baby steps, man.
Yeah,
You can't go all in like that. You'll spook people off.
No, yeah, for sure. I thought the way that
I wonder what the HR policy is at the Inquisitorius Academy.
The way that she defends her decision, though, was interesting because her decision to kill everybody was basically like, oh, if we let anyone live and to tell the tale or whatever, you know, it's gonna look like we had mercy.
It wasn't even that. It was that she had to prove a point that guy lied to her.
Yeah, it was like showing.
But to
showing
me, that you just
power,
killed the
right?
one guy, and then the rest of them would be afraid.
Right. That's
why kill all of them except for that child and then just leave him to like starve?
I guess the child would be the one to sort of be the lesson learned, right?
There's no one around. He's a child that killed the whole town.
Yeah, I know. It's like, whatever. But yeah, it was a really dark moment for what, like, we've never quite seen a moment like this in most of the Star Wars animated shows, where like a whole village just gets murdered by.
In the animated, I'm thinking in the books, Palpatine and Vader killed.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, in the animated shows, yeah, like in the animated shows, I think this is a first for sure. And I was like, whoa, this is super cool. And then
that's dark.
Yeah, and then they climb the mountain and they fight that Jedi, and the way that it goes down with her trying to persuade this Jedi the way that Lynn persuaded her, I think she's thinking, I can save this guy, right? Like I can save this Jedi to you know, I guess protect them from being killed off by myself and, you know, my counterpart here.
And Lynn just didn't care. She was not interested in training someone else at all.
No, yeah, and her whole thing was just, she just stabbed this guy in the back, and it was like, okay, yeah, cool. But I mean, it was brutal. It was like, I could totally see it coming, but at the same time, it was like, this is definitely a good story moment. It's a cool story moment because you get to see how Barriss reacts to even, you know, it's just like, that's the last straw, right? So that's when she snaps and she has the realization, hence the title of this episode. It's like, okay, I'm definitely not on the right side. Like I wasn't on the right side prior to the end of the war, and I'm certainly not on the right side now. So that's when she force pushes Lynn off the cliff and gets away.
Does Lynn live? Because we see her later, don't we?
Yeah, Lynn lives. Yeah. But I don't know. I want to ask you, Kirk, like after
the next episode.
Right. Yeah. So like after kind of seeing this episode, like what did you like? Do you still think, was this in character? Do you think for her to do that, or like how are you interpreting like that whole moment at the end there? Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely wouldn't expect Barriss to I mean, in the village to like join in on the fun. Like I think that would have been pretty wild if they decided to do that. In terms of on the top of the mountain at the end where he chucked Lynn off the cliff. I think I expected her to kind of go that way. However, I feel like my opinion has changed again listening to that speech, just because it gives me a fresher idea of what her opinions are.
Honestly,
I feel like
they really should have played that at the beginning of the series.
Say it again.
They really should have played her speech just as an opener.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have watched it again, come to think of it. But while she's massacring the village, I think I would have liked Barriss, or would have liked to see Barriss jump in at that moment and prevent that massacre going on, because she's just kind of standing there, and then like they're just killing everybody in the village. Mm-hmm. I feel like as a Jedi that hasn't really been turned yet, she has her views. She doesn't like the Jedi, albeit she thinks they should have been keepers of the peace, and she just stood by and watched Lynn massacre all these people. I feel like it would have been more interesting for her to jump in there, but I think in terms of like her relationship with the Inquisitor program left how it should have left. Eyewitness wouldn't really change how that episode kind of ended. Did that Jedi die up on the top of the mountain in the end? One that
I think so.
It's kind of left unknown.
Maybe actually,
she said she was gonna save him.
Right.
And then they skipped to the next episode, and she was a healer. So maybe she healed him, or
maybe
learned how to heal, trying to deal with that situation.
That's true, actually. Yeah, we don't know. I guess what was it that Kyle said? If a Jedi dies off screen, and they didn't. It's never certain. Yeah, they'll come back.
Like Mace Windu's coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No. But yeah, okay. So let's get this one some Pablo points. I thought this was like a pretty solid 1.5.
Yeah, I think we're running the same issue as the previous one, which is like each one is a bit of a step down. This is where I started just questioning a lot though with the with Barriss being an Inquisitor, because I had this idea in my head that she should have been an Inquisitor during Rebels. And I thought it made a really, really cool arc with her being an Inquisitor and then a story between her and Ahsoka, almost like a follow-up to what happened in the end of Clone Wars. And they went an entirely different route from something like that. And I'm not sure what I would have liked better. That speed changes everything, though.
It does.
Yeah, I don't know. As we're talking about it, I'm getting less impressed with this arc because I really liked it when I watched it, and now we're picking it apart. I'm like, wait, this maybe doesn't hold up as well as I thought.
Yeah, I feel like if Barriss, like if they encountered the Jedi first, so the Jedi on top of the mountain before Barriss saw Lin like massacre the village, it would have been more interesting for me to see Barriss like trying to annihilate and kill that Jedi, like, and really kind of push into that. But then when they afterwards, if they went to the village and then saw what the Lin was doing, she would then draw the line there and then fight Lin. I think that would have been more interesting.
That would have made way more sense too from her speech, because she was against the Jedi because they've lost their way and they're just going to create war and
make her a Jedi. Yeah, make her a Jedi killer, but like want to still help people because the Jedi failed to help said people.
Yeah,
I think that would have been a little bit more interesting for her arc. But
no, you
well, I know I forgot to watch the first few episodes.
Yeah.
Rewatch them. Sorry, rewatch them.
Yeah. What's your guys' Pablo points?
I'm gonna say Bendu. I'm gonna give myself a Bendu for this one.
Bendu. All right.
Yeah, it's tough because I definitely before this conversation had a higher. Man, I really agree with Kirk. It would have made way more sense to reverse the two combat situations here. It would have made way more sense for her character to turn on the Inquisitorius. I'll throw it a bone though because I still enjoyed it, so I'll give it one Papa point.
All right. The third and final episode of this.
Hey, you didn't rate it.
Yeah, I gave it 1.5.
All right, then.
Yeah. Third and final one, was The Way Out. This was directed by Nathaniel Villanueva, story by Dave Filoni, written by Matt Michnovitz. Also May 4th, 2024. Years after leaving the Inquisitors, Barriss is a healer and teacher. She is visited by a family who are trying to protect their Force-sensitive child from the fourth sister, who follows them. Barriss traps the fourth sister in a maze as the family escapes and attempts to convince her to turn to the light side of the Force. When she accidentally stabs Barriss with a lightsaber, the fourth sister feels regret and chooses to carry Barriss to safety. The cast includes Steve Bloom as Attendant Number 1, Anna Graves as Attendant Number 2, Meredith Salinger as Barriss Offee, Kirsten John as the father, Raya Kilset as Lynn Rakish, the fourth sister, and Susie McGrath as the mother. Anna Graves is the voice of the Duchess, Satine, and Steve Bloom is the voice of Zeb Aurelius.
Nice.
So this episode was interesting for two reasons. We saw the full circle of redemption with Barriss, but we saw a redemption for the fourth sister, and we also saw Barriss reprise her position as what she was always in the expanded universe.
Oh.
So in the expanded universe, Barriss was a healer. She was a healer Jedi, and actually, if you look up Barriss Offee's like novels from Star Wars Clone Wars days, she is in a book where she is very much featured as a Jedi healer. And I think on the cover, it's like her kind of healing a clone trooper.
She has like the same powers that Rey uses.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, something like that. So it was interesting that they took that element and worked it into her redemption arc, into this final story. And she's sort of an outcast in a way, but she's sort of a nomad, in the middle of nowhere. And I don't know if she's like maybe part of the path at this point or what, but this episode definitely takes place after Kenobi, because we see Lynn in Kenobi, right? And she's part of that Inquisitorius squad hunting down Obi-Wan.
Barriss also looks quite a bit older here.
She does, yeah. So I think it's probably before Rebels, but it's definitely after Kenobi. So probably around 12 to 15 years after Episode 3.
She looks like she's aged like 20 years.
Yeah, well, it's like the Obi-Wan effect is what I call it.
It sucks to be on the light side.
Plastic surgery does not exist in Star Wars.
And Lynn looks exactly the same. Did you notice that?
A little
Species
bit,
age differently.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, species age differently. But yeah,
what species is Lynn? I've been wondering about
I
this.
have no idea.
It's like
the species that has access to makeup and other equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting because she's like a Twi'lek, but she's got 4 and they're way smaller.
Yeah. Well, just like how the desert has dried out Obi-Wan, the frozen temperatures have also dried out Barriss a little bit.
There's no moisture in the skin.
It's That's right.
It gets frozen.
Moisturizer.
Yeah, no moisturizer. Yeah, that's what happens.
Dry air.
Yeah. So this was I mean, this was a very tame sort of plot line, you know, like it was about a kid trying to escape with his family. It was very much a personal moment and duel between the fourth sister and Barriss. And for the first encounter that they have, she doesn't even draw her like lightsaber at her. She's just wanting to get by. Like she doesn't really want to fight her in that moment. She's just
I don't
on
think
a
she
mission.
draws her saber at all.
No, she's just on a mission after the kid, right? That's the whole like, and that's what I found so curious about that first part of the, you know, when we first have these characters come face to face with one another once again, because I think in some deeper level, like they still care about each other and they're still friends, you know, from the Jedi Order days. But of course, this woman is like now twisted and evil and done all these terrible things. She's forced herself down this path, kind of like Kylo Ren. Like, you know, he forced herself down this area of almost no return. At least that she doesn't think that there's any point of return, right?
Similar to Vader.
Yeah, it's similar to Kylo Ren. I mean, like Ben forces himself down this path of killing his father, almost killing his mother, and like almost kill
the past.
Finn and Rey and all these people. Yeah, kill the past. And then it eventually takes a moment of light to like really crack through the armor and reach, you know, the good within that person. And I think that's what happened here. It really took Barriss's convincing and eventual accidental stabbing to turn Lynn, you know, back to the light through regret. You know, she realized, I regret what I've done. And she didn't regret that she killed all those people in the village. She didn't regret all the people that she's killed over the years. But the moment that she kills a friend, she regrets, and I think
a friend trying to help her.
A friend trying to help her, yeah. And I think she realizes in that moment that,
and that's why Kylo Ren is stronger.
She probably realizes in that moment that that there's actually something worth living for, because like someone like that who is so alone in life, right? Probably it's easier to do all these terrible things. But I think she realizes, somebody cares about me. Like, you know, like
this is also years later. You know, the Inquisitorius, like they work together, but they're not friends.
Right.
So you're constantly looking over your shoulder at people to betray you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What did you think about this episode?
I actually liked it. I mean, for it to be a redemption arc for Lynn, maybe it was a little bit quick, but I felt like a lot of the intention was there, and emotionally I believed it. I believe that there was enough of a connection that Barriss was able to break through this hardened armor of hate. And yeah, I would say that really felt like was the intention here, was to show, leading off from the previous episode where Lynn was trying to turn Barriss to the dark side, and here Barriss flipped it and was able to show her that not all is lost and that she can be forgiven.
Yeah,
I thought they did a good job with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kirk, what do you think about this one?
I don't want to be too negative on this one, but I think the main element of the story I didn't like is just how it kind of ended. I felt Barriss is dying by being just stabbed in the middle of an ice cave, and then, you know, it kind of going full circle of her being this monk on the ice village. I think what I found least enjoyable about her arc. I feel like I also wanted to know more about Lynn as a character. Like the last time we saw Lynn and Barriss is obviously that quick episode just before where Barriss pushed her off a cliff, and then all of a sudden, like she leaves Barriss behind and then goes off to go find the child. I felt like I again wanted to see more of what their relationship was before it all just kind of ended so quickly. And if I was a huge Barriss fan, I feel like I've been waiting 11 years to see where her story goes, all to kind of finish up in a 30-minute in 30 minutes or so from start to end. So I don't know. I felt like this episode kind of was the one that least connected with me in terms of watching her story come through.
Fair enough. What would you give it for Pablo points, Poodoos?
I probably, last one I gave a Bendu. I'd probably give this one one Poodoo point. I would say I haven't given an episode like this in a while, but wow. I think I'm gonna have to put it there, to be honest. Is that like the one just below Bendu?
Yeah
it is.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah I think I'm gonna give it that. I personally wasn't a huge fan of how her story wrapped up. I feel like we could have gotten something else in the end, or honestly I feel like I didn't want to see her die either, but
right,
I guess that's just, they wanted to wrap up the character.
Yeah. What about you, Blick?
Yeah, it's interesting. Similar to Kirk in the fact that this is not at all where I thought it was gonna go. When they announced they're doing a Barriss Offee, we saw it was Inquisitorius related. I did not see it going this direction. I would say the final episode was a lot more heartfelt than I would have expected. I would have thought she would have died as an Inquisitor.
Right.
Just from where we left off with her being a temple bomber.
Yeah.
It's just tough because I can't help but because I wanted her to be in Rebels as an Inquisitor for the entire series, all 4 seasons over 4 years. So not getting that arc between her and Ahsoka to me just feels like a bit lackluster. I think I'll throw it at Bendu.
I was going to give it 1.5 Pablo points, actually. So reasons being, I really love the fact that she, in a way, almost parallels Ahsoka's story, but in a darker tone. By the end of her story, she becomes who she's always wanted to be, which is a Jedi, right? And she's doing it in a way that is certainly very similar to Ahsoka in the sense that she's just helping people, right? She's just being like that, like this force-powered being out in the galaxy, helping people, doing her thing. Definitely unexpected. I think like with the death of Barriss Offee, so we assume, right? Like I think that for me was a bit sort of took me off guard, but I think I also kind of liked it because it took me off guard.
Yeah, it definitely took me off guard.
Yeah. And I would have liked to have seen more of Barriss, but I also appreciate them exiting this character before it gets to the point where all of a sudden there are all these Jedi that coexist in the same time as Luke Skywalker. There shouldn't be. And I think that's one of the complaints that we've had over the years. How come there's so many Jedi that have survived the purge, right? So I like the fact that they keep
seeing more. There was even more in this episode,
right? And so that's the thing. Like I like the fact that they did, make a purpose for her character and wrap up her story and kill her off before it gets too much, right? In a time period where she shouldn't be around. Even though I would have liked to have maybe seen her show up in like Ahsoka season 2 or something. But, it is what it is. I think I have more questions now as far as like, okay, Reva's still out there. She's a redeemed Inquisitor. Now Lynn is out there. She's a redeemed Inquisitor. Like, where are all these redeemed Inquisitors going? And all these successful, Force-sensitive individuals like this child and whoever else that have been transported along the path, right? Like, where are they going? Where are they ending up, etc. Right? And I think that's a story that needs to be told at some point. But
it's got to go somewhere. They've now touched on it in so many seasons.
Yeah, and it's not to say that there can't be Force-sensitive individuals out there because it doesn't mean they're Jedi, but there are some Jedi that have gone through the path and left, and they're out there. So it sort of puts a new perspective on
Quinlan Voss.
Yeah,
I think he had an Easter egg.
He survived and
went through on in Kenobi, right?
Yeah, he was supposed to be around at that time too. So and now Ventress is back. So it makes me wonder. Like it puts a new meaning on when Yoda says to Luke that he's the last of the Jedi. When gone am I, the last of the Jedi you will be. Like what? What?
Yeah, but he never left that planet, so he really just has no idea what he's talking about because he's been on Dagobah for 25 years.
Yeah, but he's Yoda. I mean, like he was able to.
He doesn't know.
He was able to talk.
He's an old fool.
He doesn't have Facebook.
Yeah,
he doesn't have Jedi book.
He's able to talk to Ezra
Jedi
on Lothal.
He's one of those Jedi that just refuses to adopt technology. Like Luke went over to bring him a phone, and Yoda's like, "No, give me. I learn in the dirt."
See, the problem is he forgot his password, and he tried to hit the recovery thing, but he couldn't remember the password to his email.
Yeah. What this reminds me of that meme where people are like, when like Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story 2 is like walking through the aisles, and like that just him is like before what we thought how many Jedi survived, and then when he goes through the aisles and there's all those Buzz Lightyears like on the shelf, like that's what actually is the remaining Jedi.
There's so many of them.
Just so many. Yeah, so I think that's one of the reasons why I like this episode. It's like, okay, it took me by surprise and it did something right, like it killed her off.
Because we also have Cal Kestis as well. Like Cal Kestis is alive after this time too, and he'd be like 50 by the time I think Luke is around.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's gonna die in the third game.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
You don't want him to die, do you?
No, don't kill him.
It's gonna be called Jedi Sacrifice.
Man, because like you can't even say. I know.
You know what? It could actually be called that.
It's a pretty badass title, and I just came up with it.
Quick copyright it.
Hire this man.
That's right.
I'm just thinking about it now, and this isn't a critique of Disney because Dave has a habit of doing this as well. So maybe it's just an issue of modern storytellers and people who grew up as fans. Maybe I should say, or George, whatever suited the story, he would do. If he just killed someone off, he didn't have any regrets and didn't want to bring them back later. That's just what he did.
Right.
But I feel like people who grew up as fans and are now writing it, they don't ever want to fully commit, just in case.
Yeah, just in case. Yeah. By the way, the books that I mentioned about Barriss being a healer, it's called The MedStar Duology. It's written by Michael Reeves and Steve Perry, set in 20 BBY, and it focuses on a Republic mobile surgical unit on the front lines of the Clone Wars where Barriss Offee has been stationed. So there's one called MedStar 1 Battle Surgeons and MedStar 2 Jedi Healer, both released in 2004.
This is now Legends material?
Yeah, Legends material, but yeah, both released in 2004. They were Star Wars Clone Wars novels.
So this is before Clone Wars the series came out.
Yeah, that's when they established Barriss as a healer.
Interesting.
Because Barriss was in Attack of the Clones. Like, she was in the Geonosian arena. So
was she at that point? She was the apprentice of.
Yeah, she was a Padawan learner to.
Oh yeah,
Luminar.
she was. That's right.
Luminar.
Yeah, so she's older than Ahsoka by a little bit. But yeah, it's or maybe by a lot, and we just don't notice because it's animation. But
right.
But yeah,
I always thought they were the same age.
Yeah. Anyways. Okay, so
General Grievous over there.
Yeah. Yeah, that sums up our Pablo Points of Putis for this series. I thought this was a really great series, and like out of all of the stories that we could have had in Tales of the Empire, I'm glad that Barriss was finally completed as a story arc. That was awesome. And having Morgan Elsbeth, get a little
we needed the backstory.
Snapshot into there was kind of cool too.
I will say I enjoyed this second arc a little better.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, me too.
I will. As much as I did complain about this arc, I will say I think this was better than the Morgan Elsbeth 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's
for me as well.
Yeah. We do have
actually. I'm gonna pose. Sorry, I'm gonna pose a very quick random question.
Yeah. Go for
it. This episode, would this arc be better suited in a Tales of the Jedi series, or is this better suited as a Tales of the Empire series?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
I'd almost feel neither of the stories we got were Empire.
Yeah,
we didn't really get a story about Imperials.
Yeah, like that's another huge, like, I guess I think that made me left with this episode with a bad taste in my mouth, is because like it wasn't really an Empire story on both.
No,
like, Thrawn was in it a little bit.
Like the Morgan one I felt was more Empire-ish.
Sort of, not the whole first episode.
I think it's because
really just a small section of the second one. That's it.
This one does feature like the Inquisitorius, so I think that's sort of the main contributing factor to why it's the Tales of the Empire. But yeah, I think I definitely feel like this could have been a Tales of the Jedi story.
When you hear that title though, do you not think of a story of like stormtroopers or something?
Yeah, well, I feel like I would think of like Tarkin or Krennic or
something that's really rooted in Empire.
Krennic. Imagine a 3-episode arc of Krennic. I would have gobbled that up, as they say.
Oh, you should read Catalyst, the Rogue One novel Catalyst. Definitely really, really well written.
Oh yeah, if you haven't read it, check it out.
Yeah. James Luceno.
No, I haven't. No,
because he did Plagueis, right?
Yeah, he did Plagueis. Yeah. He's done a bunch of Star Wars books, but yeah, Catalyst was.
Well,
fantastic.
I mean, by this definition now, Tales of the Empire is just pretty much Andor. I would say Andor is the closest thing to Tales of the Empire.
It's closer than these arcs, I would say.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, if that's the pattern taken. Like, what's the next series going to be called?
I'm guessing Rebellion.
Yeah, possibly.
Tales of the Resistance.
Isn't Star Wars in general just Tales of the Rebellion? Isn't all Star Wars just that?
Which Rebellion? Yeah.
Tales of the Skywalker family.
Yeah. These 2 arcs were pretty much tales of dead Star Wars characters now, because they both didn't. Both technically haven't made it.
I forgot Morgan's dead.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And Ahsoka.
These are all dead.
Spoilers! Hit the button.
Oh yeah. Whoops.
She's dead. She's dead. She didn't make it.
Do you know what I find very interesting though? Is like, how do they choose like what stories they're going to do? Like, we're going to choose Morgan Elsbeth for this one. So I have a slight feeling that the people working on this show didn't know the demise of what Morgan was going to happen in like Ahsoka. Like, I don't know, maybe that's the case. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah, I feel like somebody would have to know. If Dave is overseeing everything, he
Probably.
But
Well, Dave's the one coming up with these.
yeah, I'll
stories.
say my theory to how they come up with a lot of these stories is, Dave's cowboy hat, his infamous hat, is actually just full of a bunch of little slips of paper. So whenever he wants to write a new story, he just takes it off and pulls one out.
They put their hand in
This
there.
is what we're writing about. This is the story for today.
Obi-Wan has taught you well.
All right, everybody. I am here with
Natasha.
Natasha and Noah. And pardon? Noah. Did you want it? All right, so I'm here with Natasha and Noah. Now, Natasha, who is your favorite character from Star Wars and why?
Darth Vader, because James Earl Jones does the voice.
That is. Do you want to know something? Actually, look over here. This is a picture of me with Hayden Christensen.
I love you too.
I know, eh? So there you go. All right, and now Noah, what's your favorite character and why?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, this is a family that I'm speaking to right now, just so you know. So you got Darth Vader and Obi-Wan in the same family. I can tell dinners are quite interesting in your place, aren't they?
I always go to the dark side.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, what's your favorite lightsaber color?
Red.
Because of Vader? Yeah, okay. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Now, in light blue, or is it like an anti-blue, or are you sticking with a dark blue like Obi? All right, we got a dark blue. Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much.
All right, thank you guys. Yeah.
And there's definitely a point in time where I would have 100% said Vader.
I mean, I think the main character of the
Is
story
Anakin?
is just Anakin / Vader, right? Like, I think that's.
You can only pick one.
Most people. He's one guy. He's one character.
Wait, Anakin's Darth Vader?
Yeah.
Hit the spoiler button.
Oh, wait,
No
no,
way.
it's on the wrong page.
You haven't learned anything.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, here, let's switch things up. Pick your
Sci-Fi on the Rock.
Sci-Fi on the Rock. Thank you. Sci-Fi on the Rock.
The name was escaping me.
Space on the Rock. What is your second favorite character?
Where do you come up with this material?
Well, I know, it's genius. Okay. Okay. All right, let's put
We're
it
like
this way.
top 3 or something.
Okay. How about what's your least favorite character?
Oh,
and
that's
what
actually
makes
more
them
interesting.
a good character?
Wait, which makes your least favorite character a bad character?
What makes you? What's your okay. So what's your least favorite character? But share something that you like about them.
Oh man, I'm going with Prune Face.
This is like couples.
Dude, Prune Face is not the worst character. He is legendary. Legendary.
And that is why, that's the thing I like about him, is he's legendary. But I think he's probably the worst character because he doesn't do anything and he's just in the background of the face.
Kirk, what about you, man?
Oh, let me have it. So what is it again? The worst favorite character?
What do you think is the worst character and what makes them a good character?
What's the redeeming quality of them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's have a look. Let me think. All right. Actually, I have four of my least favorite characters.
Really?
Or 3 actually. I have 3.
You got a whole list?
Yeah. I have a list. I don't know. Actually, no. I have their names here right now. Here we go. It is the 4 other Jedi that went with Mace Windu to confront Palpatine because they were absolutely useless.
That is very fair.
They were absolutely, but I used to love Kit Fisto.
I
He used to be
know.
my
Kit
favorite.
Fisto.
But they stood around the Kit Fisto, yeah, but not him. I'll exclude him. But the other 3. Actually, I'm trying to get their names here. I can't find their names.
I think Sassy Tin, isn't there one?
Sassy what?
Yeah, it's like, isn't it Sassy Tin?
To say maybe.
I'm trying to find their names, but I can't find them. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Sassy Tin, Agent Kolar, and something else.
Yeah, is it Sassy Tin or Sassy Tin? Maybe.
I think Sassy. Sassy Tin doesn't. She's not very sassy.
I always call him Sassy.
Down like an absolute worst.
Let's say call him
when I was
Sassy Stacey.
Oh, it's so it's three. So it's 3 Jedis, 3 other Jedis, 3 in Mace.
Yeah, it's those 3 other Jedi. They're absolutely useless. And what can I say that's good about them? You know what? They I reckon they'd be if the Jedi were doing like some Jedi modeling catalog, they'd be great at that. They stood there, they looked menacing, they looked great. Yeah. I reckon they have a career there. But as Jedi, yeah, no, sassy, not very.
I got a redeeming point for you, Kirk. Sensei Tin.
All right, go for it.
Sensei Tin has like the most badass armor.
Sensei Tin?
Sensei Tin.
Wait, what? I missed that.
The way that he said Sensei, it sounded like sensei, like Japanese like samurai,
like a master.
Yeah. Sensei.
Thank you, Sensei.
Yeah. Oh man.
Sensei Tin. He has the most badass armor in the Gendy cartoons.
Yeah, he does. Actually.
It is so sick.
Yeah, he's got this like sweet armor. I bought the Star Wars miniature for that. It's behind you somewhere.
Oh, with the armor on?
Yeah, with the armor on. It's in that case somewhere. The one right behind your head. Yeah, the one with Kit Fisto in there.
Oh, Kit Fisto's in there. We can reenact the scene.
Yeah, I got Palpatine too. I do.
Is it Chancellor Palpatine?
It is, and Sidious Palpatine.
Wait,
I got Sidious Palpatine.
Oh wait, there was only 3 Jedi. There was Kit Fisto, Sensei Tin, and Agent Kolar.
Yeah, and then Mace.
There you go.
There's 4 total. So I came across a Quora article called the question is, why did Mace Windu bring the 3 worst Jedi ever to help him kill Palpatine? And the second answer, this is Mark Spector, former CEO at Department of Redundancy Department, says, for many reasons. Number 1, they were the best ones left. Thank you, Mark. I love that reply. Yeah. Okay, so what's something good about them?
Like I said, I think they'd make great Jedi models for the Jedi catalog. They stood there, they looked great. That was about it. Right. I have nothing else good to say about these joke of a Jedi.
Oh man. Well, and Kit Fisto's got a killer smile on him.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta say, one of the worst characters ever.
Yeah, I've reenacted the scene.
Is probably oh man.
Got all the miniatures.
I think maybe like Babu Frick or something.
Dude, Babu Frick's awesome.
No, he sucks.
Babu Frick holds the sequel trilogy. He's the glue that holds all things together.
That was the best. That was one of my favorite scenes in Rise of Skywalker.
I think like he's just such a useless character, and then at the same time though he's got that hey thing.
That's why he's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know.
I love how we both just turned on you here. Like, no, that's not right.
You're wrong.
Your worst character.
Yeah, you both pile on me. Okay, maybe I'll pick a different one. What's a different one?
Now I feel bad.
Oh shoot. Yeah, who the
Don't
heck
feel
do I
bad.
pick?
Josh is wrong.
There's so many good characters. Oh, you know what? No.
Opinion is wrong.
You know what? Zuckuss. He sucks. Zuckuss.
That's an original trilogy character.
Zuckuss sucks.
It's one of the bounty hunters.
Yeah, I know.
Zuckuss.
But what does he do? He just does nothing. He stands there.
How do you spell this? I'm trying to spell this now.
Zuckuss is Zuckkess.
Do you have the fourth Jedi?
So it's Mark Zuckerberg, but as a bounty hunter. Actually, no, Zuck is like SU. Is it 2 C's? Oh, right. Yeah, he looks like a fly.
Yeah, he does. What is their name? What is the name of their race?
Yeah, look.
I don't know.
Fairly useless.
Yeah, but he's useless.
Their race is actually pretty interesting because they're like bugs.
The cool thing about him is that he's got some really funny scenes in Robot Chicken Star Wars.
That's the redeeming thing.
Yeah, they got a good joke out of it. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. Let's take a listen if it's going to play. Oh, here, this one will play.
Okay, so, hi, I'm here with Andrew. All right, Andrew, who shot first?
Greedo.
Thank you. Thank you. That was so good.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, that's a good one. Who do you like? Are you guys more for the Han shot first, or are you more for the newer George version, the Greedo shot first?
I'm a Han shot first guy, and not just because it was the original, like that was how it debuted, but because I actually think it makes a better story arc for Han Solo.
What about you, Kirk?
I feel like I should wait and then just disagree with Josh and keep this going on here. No, I'm just kidding.
You gotta stretch out the timeline.
I reckon Han shot first. I'm in that camp, but I think it doesn't matter personally because they both shoot at such a quick, rate between each other that like it doesn't really matter who shot first. Like I think they both decided to shoot at the same time, but like Greedo was just off by a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm see. Here's the thing. Like I like the idea that Han just kills a guy in cold blood, but at the same time, I think from what we've seen in the Solo movie, he's like not a bad guy, right? Like he's like.
But that's the point. I think he's slowly gotten worse to the point before Luke finds him.
I guess so, yeah. But like Kira says like to him, like I know who you truly are, and because he's the guy. Solo's the guy who pretends to be the badass, right? Like he's the guy who sits down in the booth and he's like playing the bad boy, he's like I've got the ride, you got the money. And it's right when they leave, right when Luke and Obi-Wan leave, he's like, wow, look at that, he got the money, he's like gets all excited and he like kind of breaks out of the silent monotone character that he's kind of been putting on as a personality, right? So he's like he's the guy who pretends to be the grump, not the guy who's like the cold blood killer. But I think maybe if George like wanted to change it for that reason, like I'll roll with it. But I'm not super strongly opinionated on this one. Like I don't really care. Yeah.
So who would shoot first, Han Solo or Indiana Jones?
Indiana Jones would shoot first, yeah. In a world of...
Actually, he technically did shoot first, like very clearly in the first one.
Killed the guy with a sword, like cold blood. Yeah, exactly. Okay, here's another one.
Oh, you good. No, Marcus Hogan.
Awesome. All right, well, Marcus, so if you could create a character, if you could be a character from any era of Star Wars, which era do you think that you'd choose?
It's definitely a hard one, but I think I go for like the Empire era there. Like I'd be like on the Rebel Alliance.
Okay, you'd be Rebel.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we got a Rebel, which is me. There you go. So that's awesome. We'll have a Rebel up in the place. Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, I just think it's like it was a time when like the old government, like the Republic, it was like corrupt. Now they're tearing it down. Now they're just trying to fight for something better.
Yeah. There you go. See. That's awesome. Well, thank you very much, and we'll get you on the podcast.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for that. So Kirk, why don't you kick us off? What's yours? What's your take on that?
Oh, I think the era is probably the hardest thing. Oh man, you've really thrown me under the bus here. I don't know where I would be. I feel like I would want to exist right after Return of the Jedi. So just after the Death Star's been defeated, I feel like I would want to be some dude that I'd be a banker on Coruscant. That's what I would be.
Wow, very specific.
That's where the real money is.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be sipping, I'd be licking those ice creams, like those glowing ice creams, and going up to the rock every afternoon at the center of Coruscant and sitting there and going back home with my banking job.
I would probably just do Clone Wars era because that's definitely the most interesting. Realistically, though, it would be a pretty scary period of time to live in. So maybe like just before that. But I don't know. I like as far as like the actual like names of the eras goes, I guess so that you would be New Republic then, and then I would probably be the Fall of the Jedi, and then Blake, what about you? Which one did you pick?
Okay, you're gonna have to forgive me because I was busy taking pictures of miniatures. So what's the question?
Which era would you like to live in?
What era to live in? Well, I feel like living during the height of the Jedi would probably be the most
High Republic
reasonable time to live.
High Republic then?
I don't know if I go quite High Republic. Maybe like just before
Fall of the Jedi then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Same as me.
As far as like just surviving the galaxy. However, I've always enjoyed the idea of the Outer Rim lifestyle during the Empire. Kind of a Han Solo-esque lifestyle, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Interesting. Should be interesting. I might revise my answer and say I would be fascinated to be a Jedi during like the Proto Saber era, like with those battery packs and stuff.
Dawn of the Jedi.
Like just like a Jedi, like Jedi, but with like the mild inconvenience of having to recharge your lightsaber. That'd be interesting.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, you're gonna wear the backpack.
Actually, if you Josh lived in the Clone Wars era, does that mean every time you woke up in the morning there'd be this big like voiceover announcer announcing what your day would be? Being the voiceover,
I believe
the
that's
voiceover guy.
Contractually obligated. Yes.
Good morning. The weather is sunny outside.
Yeah. Today you will work in the bank.
For some meetings later today.
Yeah. All right, we got one more.
You'll go meet Kirk in the bank.
There we go. Oh wait, that's not a question. That's just a video that Kyle sent.
That's just wind.
That's just a cool video he sent of like a glowing thing on the ground saying Darth Vader.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. That looks like it's. I think that's all the questions then. If you didn't hear your question, there is a chance that maybe it wasn't sent to us. In which case, we're very sorry about that. But hopefully, we'll get a few more sent through from Kyle if there's any left over. And but yeah, I mean, otherwise, you all know you can reach us at our email, swescapepodcast@gmail.com. You can send in a voicemail in the form of a voice memo. And yeah, if you have any of your own personal answers that you want to send in and share what era you would pick, or what your favorite character was, or whatever any of those questions were, definitely feel free to do that, because we love to hear from everybody. So yeah, I think that's everything that we have to cover for today. I mean, we've got surreal, like it kind of blows me away to think about this, but it's less than a month to the Acolyte, which is that's pretty crazy.
Was there?
Oh wow, damn.
June 4th at 6 p.m. June 4th on the Tuesday. So I guess that would be like midnight for the Wednesday. But yeah, I mean, like,
was there a slump? I feel like there was a slump. Was there a slump right before Bad Batch of like no new content?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ahsoka was the previous thing,
but that was
a couple months, I guess.
Yeah, it was at least, I mean, considering how like consistent
right
series have been for the last handful of years.
Yeah. But it was a bit of a slump, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're back into the roll again.
Yeah,
back. Just like, especially because I guess we stretched a little bit because May the 4th was now a week ago.
Right. Yeah.
And now we got I guess it's like a month and a bit, maybe close to 2 months.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, about I think it's just over a month, maybe, or just about a month. But yeah,
are we gonna try to actually read another novel?
I think it's a month. Yeah. So we have Asajj Ventress, What Happened. So we're gonna take a look. We're gonna take a look at Ventress's whole story arc, and then just do a very thorough breakdown sequentially, what happened so far up until the most recent time that we've seen her in the Star Wars stories. We also have the Acolyte coming up as well. We have our guest appearances returning, Jess Tompkins with her book.
Oh yes,
the Zeitgeist of the Mandalorian. So that's gonna be super exciting.
That'll be super cool.
Yeah. Molly's supposed to come back on as well, and so we're big Mando fan, writes for Screen Rant and does all the Star Wars articles that we have in the Star Wars news channel. And yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. So that's coming up as well.
Yeah, it'll be a good episode.
Yeah, and then we got the Acolyte right around the corner after that. We might fit in something right before Acolyte and after that Mando chat. And then later in the summer, the Star Wars Outlaws game from Ubisoft launches on August 30th on the Friday. So
I just got Jedi Survivor or whatever, so I gotta beat that first.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot going on. And then who knows when, but Skeleton Crew is also supposed to release perhaps later this year. Of course, we don't know yet, but I mean, like, that's the next thing, as well as Andor Season 2, but I don't think Andor Season 2 is coming out anytime soon. So we haven't seen like any information on that, but
I mean, there's a lot of content, and they probably want to, get everything fitted nicely into a schedule.
Yeah, for sure. What are you most looking forward to playing or seeing, Kirk? Before we sign off here, what's your highlight next story?
Outlaws is probably the next game I'm looking forward to. In terms of things that are announced, I'm what they call cautiously optimistic with Acolyte, but I'm actually really keen just to see it, because we haven't seen this era of Star Wars before, so that's probably the one I'm most looking forward just to check out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What about you, Blake? What's
actually one more thing? I'm also excited for that new Lego movie.
Oh yeah,
Lego is there a new
Star Wars? What's it called?
One, like another holiday thing.
It's like but it's like about the what is it? The galaxies like getting mixed up or something. What was it, Kirk? What was this?
What?
Yeah. I forget.
Oh no! Again, you throw me on the spot. Hang on. I've got it here. Rebuild the galaxy. That's right. Rebuild the galaxy.
Rebuild the galaxy. Yeah.
Is that like a Build Back Better thing in Star Wars?
It's like a no. It's
and
like,
then there's Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah, Darth Jar Jar's. Yeah.
Dude, they gotta make a minifigure for that.
Yeah, they really did. They really should. I mean, if you have a red lightsaber, you just give it to a Jar Jar figure. And
but you get the official one.
The official one with printing on the chest and everything.
The limited release. $600 Darth Jar Jar minifigure.
Oh man, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh yes, that's gonna go on my wall.
Yeah. I gotta say, Andor Season 2, of course. Definitely looking forward to that. That's probably a highlight. But yeah,
I want to get more Cyril eating cereal.
Yeah, cereal.
Oh,
That's right.
See, now you guys are just doing better answers than me. I'm jealous. I want to change mine.
Well, as far as like stuff coming out, admittedly, Kirk, I'm also very excited to see what's going to happen with this High Republic series, Acolyte. Because I think it has the most question marks around it, and I really, really, really want it to be good. Because I really love the idea of this era.
Definitely, yeah. Kirk, thanks so much for joining us this week. We'll see you in the next one.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to our co-host Blake. Thanks so much for coming on each week. And
Good as always.
Yeah, we will catch you in the next one.
Sounds like a plan. We'll see you out there. Keep flying.
All right. Big thank you to our audience for tuning in thus far. We really appreciate all of you, and leaving 5 stars really helps us out a lot. It does wonders to the search engine. Also, sharing the show with your friends and family, other Star Wars fans, really does a lot. Tell them you can find Star Wars Escape Pod on any podcasting platform in the galaxy. Shoot us an email. Everything is in the description below. Also, check out our friends sticker company, EastPost. You can get a free Star Wars Escape Pod logo with your purchase if you use the promo code down in the description. So make sure you check that out. May the Force be with you. We'll see you in the next episode of Star Wars Escape Pod.